Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. The last episode we start looking on the DWX-Series from Sony, and we had a look on the transmitters of the DWX-Series. And before we have a deeper look into the menus, the software and how to use it, I will explain a little bit the receivers of the DWX-Series. So let's take the transmitters away and have a look on the two receivers we have. The smaller one, the DWR-SO2D, the digital wireless receiver slot-in version 2 double for 2-channel, is a 2-channel slot-in receiver which fits every Sony XT-Cam camcorders with a slot since 2008, and gives you true diversity 2-channel analog and digital out into your camcorder. We will see this later together with the camcorder. The other one is the big one here. It's the DWR-RO2D, the digital wireless receiver rack mount number 2, a 2-channel rack mount receiver which has 2 independent channels, true diversity, and a lot of digital technology inside. Let me change the position of the camera that you can have a closer look to the front and back side of the receiver. Okay, what you see now hopefully is the front of the DWR-RO2D 19-inch rack receiver. Very simple. It starts on the left side with the on-off switch. Let's switch the receiver off and on and see how quick it comes up. And you see you get audio on the outside under 0.5 seconds if the transmission is established. So if the transmitter is switched on and you switch on the receiver, it needs really under half a second before you get some audio out. So there is no big computer system inside. Everything is very tight and made for a quick response. And then you have 2 channel sections here, channel 1 and channel 2. These are 2 independent displays, independent knob sections for changing parameters. And on the right side we see the headphone section, which gives you 2 independent headphones. If you push the button, you can change between left channel 1, right channel 2, or on both ears channel 1 and on both ears channel 2. And the last is channel 1 and 2 in a mix. It's a 6.3 millimeters jack, and if you turn the knob you can change the volume from the headphone output. Let's have a look on the back side. So you can take off the power plug. That's no problem. There's no special way to switch it on and off. And yeah, let's see the back side. So is the 2 outputs, analog symmetrical XLR, which has a real relay for a ground lift inside. And then we have 2 unbalanced outputs, and which are 3.6 millimeters jack. So the analog can be line and microphone level, and the unbalance is -10 dB. This section is a digital out, which gives you a symmetrical XLR output here, the 3-pin XLRs, and then there's another unsymmetrical output which is on BNC, and then there are 2 BNC word clock in and out, so you can clock your system if you have a studio clock or a clock in your OB-WAN. Here in the middle is the Ethernet port, 10 or 100 megabit. It is a 1 gigabit port, so if you use only one receiver and one computer, you can use a direct cable. You don't need a cross cable. Here in the middle, this small antenna is the remote antenna. It's for the 2.4 gigahertz cross remote system, and of course, if you have the wireless LAN, if you have the LAN established, the Ethernet system, then you don't need this antenna. You have external remote antennas, which I show later, and then it's the standard antenna input, which 2 inputs for the 2 diversity antennas and 2 outputs for daisy chain or cascade up to 8 receivers, so 16 channels can be directly daisy chained here or used with the 2 BNC cables. There is an active splitter inside, which is great because you lose only half a dB from one receiver to the next one in your loop. But if you switch off the main power, you lose also the output because the active amplification inside is off. The DC input here is for 12 volt DC. That's for film people. If you use this in the field, you can use your car battery or any 12 volt battery to power the receiver. It's need only around 1 ampere current, so it's between 12 and 15 watts in power consumption. You can use it whatever for a long time, or you can use it as a backup if your AC power is the way your 12 volt power will still power the system. The AC in is 90 volt or 100 volt to 250 volt, 50 hertz, 60 hertz. So wherever you are in the world, you can simply plug in the main power and the system starts. Yeah, okay, so backside, very simple. 2 symmetrical analog outputs which can have line or mic level, 2 unsymmetrical jack outputs, word clock in, word clock out, an ASBU unsymmetrical, an ASBU symmetrical, or an AS3 symmetrical Ethernet connection, a remote antenna for short testing, and then antenna A and B input and output, which is an active output to cascade up to 8 receiver. And on the left side is the 12 volt DC input for using the system in the field or as a backup power, and the 100 to 140 volt AC input. Let's turn on the system and let's have a look on one of the channels. I think you can see the display very well. So let's start what the menu is showing you and what you can change on the receiver side. Utility is the setup for the whole receiver. So it has an error section, audio section, network alert, and so on, and a factory reset preset. It's version 1.07. Not the latest one is 1.11. But anyway, let's start with the RF. Very simple. So utility RF, and the RF is a setup for the bands we have inside and the sub bands. So you can change between here 33, 35, 36, 37, and 38 to 40. So that is the 64 megahertz bandwidth version, which gives you 3 independent sections. The idea of these sections is that if you have a 24 megahertz bandwidth, then you have filters left and right. And if there are some interference or any problems with frequency outside these 24 megahertz, then the input section cut these off. So that's a very good idea to split your bandwidth in different sections. So in this version it's 33 to 40. Then you have antenna A and antenna B, and this is 0, 5 dB or 10 dB. It's not plus 5, it's not plus 10, it's damping. So in our terms it's minus 5, but mathematically it's correct to say you put plus 5 dB damping inside, so your input is less sensitive. So less sensitive 5 dB or less sensitive 10 dB that you could do. It's the idea if you use your antenna amplifier for cable loss compensation, but then you see the cable loss is not as high that the amplifier from the antenna gives you more gain than you need, so you can say change this, or if one antenna is far away from the other one, then you can change the level here a little bit. Third point is the DC on and off. So if you have your antenna directly connected to a receiver, then you can change the antenna phantom power to 9 volt or 12 volt or off. Off means your antenna is passive, which is for active antennas not the best way because you're losing more than, I think, 15 to 20 dB. Then you have 9 volt gives you plus 10 dB for cable loss compensation, and 12 volt gives you plus 18 dB for cable loss compensation. My personal experience is that with the 12 volt or with the 18 dB and a good cable, you can use more than 200 meters of cable and you still have a great RF level on your receiver side. That's all 3 points here in the RF section. Let's go escape and let's get out here. Audio, very simple. It's what is your sync source, is automatically internal, it's internal or is external. And then you see here it's changed the logo changed the signal for the external sync. So external is not working, that's why it is blinking. And if I go to internal, of course it's internal. If I go to auto, it will stay with internal because it's using automatically the available sync source, which is at the moment internal. Delay adjust is something which gives you the ability to use older versions of the system. The newest version, which is not this receiver, but the newest version we have available since some days, is the N version, and the N version of the system has only 1.5 millisecond latency. And if you want to mix older versions with newer versions, then it makes sense that all receivers have the same output, and then you can say the delay adjust on, and then you will see that all the outputs are delayed to 3.4 milliseconds, which is the latency of the older version. So that is the delay adjust. Not necessary if you have only one type of the receiver, the new one, the N series, but if you mixed older receivers and newer one, you get this version. Yeah, so that's the delay adjust function. Okay, and that is the delay adjust function. Next one is AFP code. Is just if you see some audio input, then it will show you for 2 seconds the maximum of the input section or of the input gain. And that's all in the audio section. Next is network. That's simple. It's the name of the receiver and it's the IP address and the subnet mask. That's all. You can change it in a way you like. Just go inside and change the name here. It's much easier if you do this over the software, because then you can use a keyboard. And the same is for IP address. Change something and it will ask you to reboot. Very simple. Switch off, switch on, and a second later your IP address is fixed. The IP address is something which is important for the software, because everything we store in a file is stored under the IP address. So if you recall a complete system, if you recall a snapshot of the system, it is very important that your IP address not changed in the meantime, because then the wrong receiver gets the wrong setup. So IP address is something which is important. Alert function, that's the different alerts we have. RF low, RF over, quality level. The quality level is the digital data rate, the peak level, battery low, and so on. You can switch every alert on and off. The alert is here, this red LED button, and it's also visible on the screen and shows you an alert. But it is much easier to do this over the software. Let's switch on, in the meantime, a transmitter. And let's see what happens. So here is our transmitter and here is our receiver. We will use in a second to see what's going on. You see that is not matching. It's different. So we will do this in a second and set up the system in the right way. Yeah, so that is the utility section. Okay, display. Sorry, I forgot. Display is just the brightness, and it will be, and it goes in dim mode, or it goes always off, or it goes in auto off. That means after 10 seconds or 20 seconds, it switch off complete. It makes sense if you have your receiver in a central machine room, because you can control absolutely everything over the software. You don't need the receiver close to you. Not for syncing, not for changing frequencies or input gain or whatever you like to do. You can do everything over the software. So you can use the receiver in a machine room, and then it makes sense that this display goes off. On the other side, display off means that you, it's like this. Display off means that the temperature of the receiver goes down because the display is, from my point of view, the most important part for heating up the receiver. Let's go out here. Factory preset is just a reset, which brings everything to the factory preset. And the software version is the latest version we have. It's 1.07 on this machines, but official it's 1.11. The software is nothing which change the codec or the audio quality. That's something which you have fixed years ago. But sometimes we bring some new features inside. And if we have new features, then the new software version brings this to your transmitter and receiver. Okay, so that is, let's go back to the display and say always on. That is the utility, which is for both channels for the full receiver. Let's now have a look on the section for the transmitter. So channel 1 has a receiver button, a transmitter button, and an RF remote button. That's the 3 main buttons, and then you have the jog dial to change something, and if you push, then you change the parameter. So receiver is the setup of the receiver, like group channels. You can do an active scan, which shows you all active channels around. It shows you a clear channel scan, which gives you free available frequencies. Encryption is something which switches on the encryption in the receiver, and if cross remote is connected, also on the transmitter, and then your signal is encrypted on top of the digital modulation and on top of the digital data stream, which is really, really difficult to find out. We have done some tests with some specialists of the European Parliament. They had no chance to encrypt it, so it is a very secure system. And then you have the balance out, which is the XLR we have seen on the back side, so you can change between mic and line level. And then is the unbalanced out, which you can change in 3 dB steps from -10 dB, and then 3 dB, 6 dB, 9 dB up to -21 is the lowest output level. And you have the ground lift, which is really a relay. You hopefully hear the noises clicking, switching on the ground lift. Transmitter shows nothing at the moment, gives you all the information: name, power save, RF power, input gain, time, the low cut, the internal signal generator, whatever it is, but at the moment shows nothing because there is no connection. And then we have the RF remote. The RF remote sets up a 2.4 gigahertz network between the transmitter and the receiver. So it's a two-way communication. Has nothing to do with the audio. If the RF remote is off, body pack is still working, or the system is still working as a standard digital radio mic system. But if RF remote is on, you have a lot of possibilities which you have never had before. We established this in 2008 with the first camera receiver, so it's also working on the camera receiver, so you can remote your transmitters from the camera. But here you can use the software and you can control up to 82 transmitters simultaneously. What we do before we can control the transmitter, we have to take care that the receiver and transmitters are paired. It's a process which is like your pairing process between your Bluetooth device and your mobile phone, your Bluetooth headset, or your Bluetooth speaker and your tablet. Whatever you like to pair. The protocol we use is the EAA 811.15.5. It's a protocol for machine control, and the most people know this protocol under ZigBee. So the ZigBee is the basic of the protocol we use. Let's go in pairing and say start. Yes, it says scanning. And what I do now, I switch off my body pack, press the minus button and switch it on. And it says also scanning. And now you see the receiver shows me I have found the device. It's a DWT-B01 with the serial number 041040. And I will say yes. And now it says pairing. Let's get the information. And what you see here is there's a level. It shows you the level of the cross remote signal. Yeah. So it shows these two arrows, which shows I am paired, and it shows you the level of the strangeness of the remote control signal. Go back to the receiver section. You see there is a lot of things going on here. The quality level is not good. It loses the battery and everything. This is because we have no antenna on the receiver. Yeah, if I go closer to the antenna sections, okay, you will see it runs perfectly. So with antennas, it runs nice. Without antennas, you have to take care that your transmitter is close to the B and C connectors. I will attach some antennas now. Okay, so here we have two nice antennas. Yeah, and you will see the signal is perfect. So that's the body pack. And what you see is now here A and B is the RF strength. And what you see above is QL, is quality level, is the digital data rate we get from the transmitter. So as long as these signals are great, you have a great reception. Let's put a microphone on, and then you will see also some audio level. So here is on the right side of the display your audio level. So now you have the full view about the system. It is Group D1. It is the channel 3306 here in Europe, which is an 8 MHz TV channel, and it's 566.750 MHz. The name of the transmitter, it is paired by cross remote. The signal is great, and your audio signal is also great, and your battery is 80% of your level. And then you see here the L is for low is 1 milliwatt, and then we have M, which is for mid is 10 milliwatt, and then we have H is high for 50 milliwatt. So let's put the receiver here on this side, and maybe I will switch on here also the display. So now the display of the body pack is always on, and I think we change this a little bit and then you can see it. Yeah, so now you have both visible. So what I can do now is going to my receiver section, have the same possibilities here. I have an audio output which I can mute and unmute. It's unmuted at the moment, and if I now go to transmitter, then I see all the parameters I can change over cross remote. Yeah, so the name, go inside and change it to DWTB01. That's not necessary, and say very simple, my name. So Mark 01 because I'm channel 1, and job done. Yeah, okay. If you go now here in the transmitter to the first page, you see that the name is Mark 1. Yeah. What I can do on the power save section is simply switch the transmitter into sleep mode. You see, transmitter is off now, all the data are lost, and it shows you sleep mode. If I go to receiver sections, you will see sleep is Mark 1. Mark 1 is sleeping, and it shows you that the cross remote is still established here. cross remote signal is still there. So you have a connection to your body pack, but there is no RF, there is no audio. It saves, from my experience, around 40 to 50% of your battery energy. Go back to transmitter, go to the sleep section and switch it on. So artist coming back on stage, and voila, here we have the transmitter still working, audio is there and everything. So you can change the RF power to mid or high. So let's go to mid. Well, you see the M is coming up, and we need around 300 milliseconds to change the amplifier. So we switch off the amplifier, go to 10 milliwatt and switch it on again. So you have a small dropout. So be careful if you do this during a show. Find a moment where the artist is not doing anything with the microphone, not speaking or singing. So then we have the input level is mic or line level. And then we have the attenuator, which is again 0 dB is the most sensitive one. And then I can go in -3 dB steps up to -48. And you see if I go to 48, the level is gone here. Let's see what we have. If I go to 27, then they have a little bit of level. And if I go to 18, you have more level. If I go to 0, you have the full sensitivity. It is visible here also on the sections of the on the display of the body pack. So if I go here to -9, you will see -12, it switched to -12, or -18. You see it switched to -18. It goes very quick, so you can change your input gain during a show without touching the artist. That's a fantastic feature. Of course, there are some more points you can control. So the next one is the low cut. Go to low cut, 50 Hertz, yeah, and it shows you 50 Hertz, or go to low cut, whatever, 90, and it switched to 90 Hertz. The body pack don't has 48 volt phantom power, that's why it shows here no function, but if you have the plug on, then you can switch on the phantom power. Time, very important feature, so you can reset a timer in the body pack, which is here. So if I put new batteries inside, I can reset the timer, and it shows you the running time of the body pack. So 4 hours, 50 minutes, 6 hours, 20 minutes, whatever it shows. This is more precisely than your battery symbol here, which goes from 90 to 80 to 60 to 50%. But as we all know, especially with rechargeable batteries, you can only calculate these percentage over the voltage in the batteries, and the voltage of rechargeable ones is very, very stable. So it's switched between 1.35 to 1.15, that's all. So it's difficult to find out the right point because the voltage loss is very low. With batteries it's much easier. It goes from 1.5 or 1.55 down to 1.1. So you have a bigger range where you can set the different levels here, but any battery type is different, so it's different to find out what the running time really is. The best is put new batteries inside, switch the timer to 000, and then you know what's going on, because after some times with the same batteries you find out my batteries are always running 7 hours and 50 minutes, and if the timer shows you 7 hours and 10 minutes, you know I have 40 minutes to go. Yeah. Internal signal generator gives you a 1 kilohertz tone with -36 dB is for leveling your input section on your mixing desk. And then is the power switch lock. If I lock the power switch, you see here in this display is a lock symbol, and I cannot switch off the transmitter. And of course, the power state shows you the position of the lock switch. It is at the moment on, and now it shows you that the display, the transmitter is switched off. Gives you a good idea what your artist is doing because he was playing around with the on-off knob. That are the main features you can change over cross remote, and this is for both channels the same. And this gives you a really, really fantastic function, especially together with the Windows software or the iOS app or the Android app, to control your system wherever you are on stage. Yeah, that was a short look on the receiver side of Sony's digital wireless system. You could see a little bit the display, they could see the different menu sections and what you could change in the menu sections, and I hope you understand a little bit what the difference between analog and digital transmission is. In the next videos I will go deeper into these functions, and I will show you over the computer what you could do with the software setup, with recalling complete sets and systems, and what is the benefit of controlling the transmitters without touching it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this a little bit longer video, and thanks for watching.